Imagine a remote Hawaiian island, a hidden gem surrounded by nothing but the vast ocean and untouched nature. This secluded beach is home to just a few hundred local residents, but you're unlikely to encounter them. Sounds like an ideal vacation spot, right? Well, here's the twist. This island, Niʻihau, has been closed off from the world for over 150 years. Owned by a single family, the Robinsons, this island is off limits to everyone, including the state governor. In this video, I'll uncover the mysteries of some of the world's most secretive and closed-off islands. You'll learn what's really happening on Niʻihau, discover the most dangerous island on Earth, and find out why Niʻihau has remained closed for so long. When we hear about a closed island, our first thought might be a military base or a secret weapons testing site, like the Enigmatic atoll in the Pacific Ocean. Until the 1970s, the United States used this atoll for nuclear testing. To clean up the radiation and make the area livable again, the contaminated topsoil was buried in a massive nuclear blast crater on Niʻihau Island and sealed with a concrete dome. In 1980, the US government declared the atoll safe and people began to return. However, scientists warned that the island might not be truly habitable until 2027. Similarly, Niʻihau Island in Scotland was a military test site for biological warfare, specifically anthrax, from 1942. The island was quarantined for 48 years due to the persistent contamination of the soil. In 1986, the British military attempted to decontaminate the island with 280 tons of formaldehyde. 4 years later, the quarantine was lifted and the island was sold to a private owner, though it remains uninhabited. Could Niʻihau be a secret weapons testing site? After all, the island is part of the US Pacific Missile Range. However, this theory doesn't hold up. Niʻihau is privately owned by brothers Bruce and Keith Robinson, and private land can't be used for military testing. Keith Robinson, who doesn't live on the island, visits it at least once a week. He's dedicated to preserving rare Hawaiian plants, so if there were anthrax or radioactive waste on the island, he would surely know. But maybe the danger lies elsewhere. Could it be a natural hazard? Consider Ilha da Queimada Grande in Brazil, also known as Snake Island. This tiny island, less than half a square kilometer in size, is home to around 4,000 venomous snakes, making it one of the most dangerous places on Earth. The Brazilian government has prohibited anyone from even sailing close to the island. But Niʻihau is not home to deadly snakes. Instead, it's a sanctuary for rare birds and mammals, with the most dangerous animal being the Hawaiian monk seal. Perhaps the threat comes from inanimate nature. Heard Island, for example, is home to one of Australia's highest peaks, Mawson Peak, an active volcano that erupts frequently. Some claim the last eruption began in 2012 and continues to this day. The island is uninhabited except for occasional scientific expeditions. But Niʻihau has no volcanoes or dangerous animals, nor any other natural conditions that might explain why it's closed. The island's dry climate didn't deter Elizabeth Sinclair, the great-great-grandmother of the Robinson brothers, from buying it in 1864 and establishing a ranch there. The island has been in her family for 157 years, during which time they've shared Niʻihau with about 170 local residents. But why did Sinclair purchase the island with its native population? Owning a private island is like ruling a private state. It's part of a country and follows its laws, but there are no police or supervisory bodies. For example, Canadian billionaire Guy Laliberté grew cannabis on his private island, and it was only discovered by accident. Sometimes island owners feel completely above the law, like Jeffrey Epstein, who used his private island, Little St. James in the Caribbean, for horrific crimes. Epstein was convicted of sexually abusing minors and trafficking girls to his island. The court documents mention at least 40 victims lured to his mansion on Little St. James. Could something similar be happening on Niʻihau? Could. The Robinson brothers, who own Niʻihau today, have created unique conditions for the locals. There are no modern amenities like plumbing or sewage systems. Residents collect rainwater for drinking and household use. Electricity is only available in the local school. Alcohol and cigarettes are banned, as are all forms of communication with the outside world, including mobile phones, TVs, and even radios. Rare tourists who visit the island aren't allowed to interact with the locals. The closest they can get is a helicopter ride that offers a distant view of a native Hawaiian village. Officially, locals aren't forbidden from leaving, but in practice, they can only reach the nearby island of Kauai, where they receive medical care. So why keep these people so isolated? The Robinson brothers claim that isolation is necessary to preserve Niʻihau's unique nature and culture. Scientists sometimes close islands to protect their ecosystems from human interference. For instance, Surtsey Island in Iceland was formed almost 60 years ago after an underwater volcanic eruption. It was immediately closed to the public so scientists could study the natural development of flora and fauna. Before landing on Surtsey, explorers meticulously checked their clothes and gear to prevent seeds from the outside world from contaminating the island. Similarly, Albatross Island in Australia is off-limits to the public as scientists monitor rare bird species there. The Robinsons say they're similarly dedicated to protecting Niʻihau's ecosystem. Keith Robinson has spent 18 years and over $250,000 growing rare Hawaiian plants. He also notes that endangered Hawaiian monk seals have returned to Niʻihau's shores, thanks to a fishing ban around the island. But if the Robinsons are so concerned about preserving Niʻihau's ecosystem, why do they allow hunting safaris on the island? Boars, antelopes, and sheep were introduced to Niʻihau specifically for this purpose. The money earned from these rare tourists helps support the local community. Keith Robinson estimates his family has spent between $8 and $9 million on the island, yet they've refused to sell it to the government despite heavy financial losses. Perhaps they see preserving Niʻihau's nature and culture as their life's work. Or maybe they're exploiting the native population. What do you think?